Hi everyone. I promised you that I would get you this video about how to find the learning continuum in the NWEA map. I promised it to you on Friday, and so now you're going to get it late on Monday, so I apologize for this coming in after I had told you that I would get it to you. I'm just going to give you the bare bones details on how to find the reports on the NWEA site, and then hopefully when I get a chance to see you on Friday, if you've had a chance to look at it, which I know that it's conference week and maybe this is a bad timing, but if you've had a chance to look at these reports, maybe we can squirrel away some time on Friday to talk a little bit more in detail about how you might use these reports. Michelle, you sent me an email and said you already know how to find these and you just wanted to discover maybe a cleaner way to look at the reports, and I can tell you now you can stop listening, because since you already know how to do this, I poked around as much as I could and could not find a nice clean way like we used to view the Descartes. So unfortunately, that's probably one thing that we'll have to discuss when we get together on Friday, but I'll let you off the hook if you don't want to listen to the rest of this video. For the rest of you who are still trying to find these reports, what you're going to want to do is from your staff section of the Fruitport website, get to NWEA, log yourself in, and then along the left you're going to want to click on underneath View Reports and Instructional Resources. Click on the Map Reports tab, and what you should have open is a screen that looks similar to this. Remember, I have district-wide access, so some of my reports might look different than yours, and some of my screens might look a little bit different than yours, but on the average, I think that everything is labeled the same. So once you get here, what you're going to want to take a look at is the class breakdown report. So you'll click here. What you're going to want to do is make sure you have fall 2014-15 selected. You may or may not have more than one school here, but you're going to want the middle school. And I'm going to pick on Jackie just because she's near the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at her first hour. So the crummy thing about this is that you're going to have to go in and kind of print this report or look at this report, whatever your comfort level is, and you're going to have to go by class, unfortunately. So I'm going to pick her first hour. And then you can choose by writ or by goal. I generally pick by goal. So that's what I pick, and then I'm going to pick the reading report. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and click Create Report. And then what that did is it gave me her first hour, gave me Jackie's first hour students, all laid out nice and neat, so I can see not only how they scored on the reading assessment overall, but how they fared on each of these 3 subtests. So when I take a look at Captain here, I already looked into Isaiah's report, so I know that this is Isaiah Captain. When I take a look at him, in parentheses, it tells me that he scored a 196 overall on the reading test, which is why you see when you follow his name down, he has the same number after his name, even though he is in a different column. And then the column will tell you this is how he happened to score in the subtest of literature. So he did well in literature, and then he struggled a little bit in informational text and vocabulary acquisition. So right away you can kind of start to see for students where their areas of strengths are and maybe where their areas of weaknesses are. And so what I might do initially is to print this report so that I at least have a breakdown of where some of my kids are scoring relative to how they did overall, and maybe even relative to how they did each other, in case I was thinking about groupings of some sort for the work that I'm doing in my class. Then what you'll want to do is you'll click on a student's name. So I'm going to pick Isaiah, and I'm going to pick informational text. Doesn't matter right away what subtest I go into, because every time I click, this is what the screen's going to look like. And what I might do then is you can edit the display options, and you're going to open up some pretty big screens that are kind of cumbersome to look at, but maybe to help narrow the focus a little bit, I would group by standard, and then I would pick just 6th grade so that you don't have a ton of information when you start to look. And then because I'm most interested in informational text, just as an example, I'm going to go ahead and pick one of these topics inside of informational text, and I'll pick key ideas and details. And then what it does is it drops down for me what standards correlate to which RIT bands and the way in which that was assessed on the MAP test. So right away, you know, the information is small, but as we go higher in the RIT bands, more information will be listed here. So it gets to be pretty cumbersome pretty quick, just to be transparent. Then what I'm going to do is eventually on the right over here, I'm going to see my student that I was interested in's name. So I picked Isaiah, so here he is. What it tells me is, again, his overall RIT, which we saw on the previous screen. What we didn't see on the previous screen that we now see on this screen is his Lexile range, and then his goal range, which is the range that should match up over here, meaning this is how he did on this particular portion of the test, which has him fall into this skill set. So now what I am curious about for my class is maybe I want to know where all of them fell. So I click on that View All, and as I scroll down along the right, all of the students in my class will be listed. If I come back up to looking at Isaiah, what you look at from this green bar to this green bar is the instructional level of these students. So this is the area of what they call the zone of proximal development. This is the area where they are ready for some more instruction on, the area where they scored 50% or better on their NWEA assessment. So if you want, go ahead and use that information to get yourself started, and I hope to see you on Friday. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'd be glad to try to help. Thanks.